So we're so pleased now to welcome Bernadette Smyth from Precious Life to the Rally for Life and Sarah Hare from Stanton HealthCare. Smith. Bernadette, great to have you here. Such a champion
Thank
for
you.
life.
I'm delighted to be here.
A regular speaker at the Rally for Life, of course. People always come to hear what you have to share with us. And you've been in the pro-life battle now for
24 years next week.
24 years, and a huge amount of good done and a lot of babies saved. And I think a lot of people down here are looked in horror in Dublin Castle at that day when they saw Mary Lou and Michelle O'Neill, Sinn Féin, holding up a sign saying the North is next. And Jonathan Van Mar has this really good line in his book Patriots where he says, the eye of Sauron swung towards the North. And that, to me, that's precisely what it was, that they were seeking to break down the long expressed, I think, and the widely held pro-life attributes of people in the North. But the question for Precious Life and for all the pro-life groups is, where do you go from here?
Well, as you know, Niamh, abortion was forced on Northern Ireland. We didn't vote for abortion. Our politicians didn't have a say. So it was something that it wasn't consented from the people or the politicians. So we, the very day that abortion became legal, when it was passed because Stormont failed to get up and running, we went back onto the streets that very next day. Because that's what Precious Life is. We are an active organisation. We're a voice for the unborn child. When I formed Precious Life nearly 24 years ago, it was after seeing an image of a little baby boy who had been aborted. And, I have never forgotten that. And I want to do everything to be a voice for every individual unborn child under the threat of abortion. So what we're doing in Precious Life is we're actively back out on the streets. We've been campaigning since last October. We launched the Repeal Section 9 campaign. We're lobbying our politicians. And we're being a voice for children and trying to save one baby at a time. What we want to do is we want to save as many babies as we can because the law has changed. Sadly and tragically, that is something at this moment in time it will be very difficult to reverse with the current makeup of the Northern Ireland Assembly. But there is lots that we can do. We can educate the public on the horror of abortion. We know that many people in Northern Ireland are outraged at what has happened. So, after the lockdown, we're coming out the other end and we're able to continue with our active work on the streets. Yeah,
because you've always been a particularly active organisation. And I know that, my own youngsters look at the Precious Life news feeds and Facebook, and they look at the Youth for Life Northern Ireland and all the activism that goes on all the time, the outreaches, the public outreaches on the streets, the huge amount of work, of course, that you've done in Stormont and elsewhere in holding medical conferences, all of those things that go to build the pro-life community and the pro-life message. And one thing I think that definitely you have in your corner, Bernie and Sarah, when we're looking at what's happening in the North, is that clearly the public are on your side. Because we saw in the submissions made to the Northern Ireland office that when they called for public submissions, was it 79% of people who were opposed to abortion?
Yeah, and that has been no different, in my opinion, over the years through various different campaigns and petitions that we presented at every opportunity, every campaign, every amendment, every motion that's been put forward at Stormont, Westminster. We've collected petitions that have outwon the pro-aborts. The pro-abortion organisations could never live up to the petitions that we put forward, all from the people of Northern Ireland. And I suppose I could say that we walk the talk. We just don't talk about abortion. We want to get out there on the streets. We want to raise the profile. And I think the profile for life. And I think because of that, things are still the same. Last year, last September, we had the March for Their Lives, and over 20,000 people came out to show their opposition. Brilliant. Following that, the consultation. People were so fired up, but we were just ignored. But that doesn't change the fact that we are still the voice for the unborn child. We still must speak out, we still must protest, and we still must do everything to ensure that the unborn child has a voice. I brought with me today a little pair of shoes. Aww. And the reason why I bought these shoes, I was just, this is a little pair of shoes that a baby that was saved from abortion wore, and his mother gave those shoes back to me as to remember that his life was saved because of our work. That's what we want to do. We want every little baby to be spoken for, but to be saved and to be able to wear shoes. Yeah. You know, when you think of the Holocaust, I read a book about the Holocaust recently, and all the shoes that were found and the museums show them. We want little babies in Ireland to be able to be born to wear shoes, little babies that can walk the walk, and we're doing everything that we can to ensure that those babies will be able to wear shoes just the same as we as grown up. So
they're an incredibly powerful symbol, I think, of what the work is all about. It's about saving one life at a time and about changing one heart at a time and bringing people to the pro-life message. I think probably down here we look to the north with perhaps a tinge of envy, in that we think at least you have the DUP in your corner, and you know, at least you have one political party who seems mostly, you know, willing to stand up and support the right to life of unborn children.
Absolutely, and that has never changed. When I formed the all-party pro-life group back in 2006, it was actually Ian Paisley Sr. that helped me form that group. He was my MP at the time, and that was a very successful lobby group at Stormont, and they have continued to be that voice. I know at this moment in time that there is not the make-up in the Northern Ireland Assembly to repeal Section 9, but we want to, in the future, change the make-up of the Northern Ireland Assembly. Yes. And we have things in plan for the future, so I'm excited.
So a little birdie has told me that part of that plan might be that you're intending to run for office.
Absolutely. I've thought long and hard. Caused many an argument in my home. No, is it not time you retired? And no, I just feel, you know, when I formed Precious Life to be a voice for the unborn child on the streets, in the government, through the courts, and at this moment in time, we need to have a real strong pro-life voice in government standing for the next election in 2022. To ensure that we can at least try to overturn and repeal Section 9. So that's our long-term plan.
Well, I would imagine everybody watching, Bernie, is fully behind you in that, sending you all their support and goodwill. We're always being told, aren't we, that we need more strong, feisty, independent-minded women in Parliament or in politics. So brilliant news. Great to hear that you've considered that and that you're willing to throw your hat into the ring. Yeah. I'm going to talk to Sarah now. Sarah Hare, great to have you with us from Stanton HealthCare. Can you tell us a little bit about Stanton HealthCare, how it came about, firstly, in the north?
Okay, yes, so in 2015, Bernadette Smyth founded Stanton Belfast, Stanton HealthCare NI. And so Stanton Belfast is an affiliate of Stanton International, which is based over in Boise, Idaho. And we are inspired by the suffragette Elizabeth Stanton, who said that, let me get this right, this quote, for true equality between men and women, we must celebrate the true gift of motherhood and never treat our children as property, so to be thrown away. So in Stanton, in Belfast now, we've been up and running 5 years, and we're making great steps to just be ahead of the game. And obviously with the law change, we have been just making really, really excellent steps to make sure that every woman that comes into Stanton is given enough support that, please God, she can choose life for her wee baby.
So what an amazing quote. I hadn't heard that one before. What an amazing quote, and so true. And I've been in Stanton HealthCare, and it's a lovely, welcoming place. I can see how a woman who is, you know, frightened, who is vulnerable, who needs help, would go in there and have this feeling that there are people there who would support her. Can you tell us about some of the people, or obviously without not betraying any confidences or going into any details, tell us what's a kind of a typical day in Stanton and who do you come across?
Sure, yeah. So we invite women in for an initial consultation, and that's when they just come in, speak about their story, what's going on in their life, how can we help. We talk about the development of the baby, the reality of what actually is abortion, and we book that woman in for a scan, and that scan is the changing moment, because that woman sees that this is a window to the womb, and she sees that her wee baby is so alive. And contrary to the mantra that she might hear in the media, that her baby is that wee heart is beating, that them wee legs are growing, that wee brain is starting to function. And yeah, it's a truly amazing to see the miraculous, how the scan miraculously saves lives.
Wow. And then, of course, I think for women, it's to know that the support is there. To know, first of all, this is my baby. I think most women do understand, like, this is a baby, but what they can't see beyond is the fear that their life will be destroyed by a pregnancy. And they hear this so often. You know, I think women hear, you know, if you continue with this pregnancy, your future is taken away from you. And it's wonderful to have groups like Stanton who explains to women that actually, you know, we can empower women and help them properly by helping them to continue with the pregnancy and ensure that their life can be fulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely, Niamh. And for example, like with the abortion movement, what they aim to do is to pin a mother against her child. But what we do in the pro-life movement is encourage women and say, you can do this. You know, no matter how many people are saying you can't, how heavy the bills are, whatever the problem may be, that we will step in and we will 100% walk with you every step of the way. And even, for example, women that we've met who, you know, they've got past that first hurdle. And they've chose life for their wee babies, but like the oil bills still come, you know, the heavy grocery bills still come, and that's where we really step in and make sure that they're good, you know, that everything's going to be okay for them.
Yes, it's a wonderful quote from Frederica Green, where she says that when faced with a crisis pregnancy, surely the answer is to terminate the crisis and not the child. And you know, what you said there just meant so much to me, because of course, after a baby is born, or when you continue with pregnancies, the reality is still there. If there are difficulties still there, who's going to help you deal with them? And I know that's why it's so amazing to have people like Stanton and to have people like HealthCare, because you actually step in to help women. Where I feel like abortion campaigners, all they offer them is abortion. It's like they pretend it's all about choice, but it's really telling women that they're on their own, and women deserve better than that. So Bernadette and Sarah, thank you so much for coming in to join us today in the Valley for Life. Brilliant to hear from you. Brilliant to hear the great news about MLAs, possibly Bernadette Smyth.
Watch this space.
Fingers crossed, and to hear the marvellous work being done up north.